Jesus, you love me too much. Oh, oh. Too much, oh, excess love. Jesus, you love me too much. Oh, you love me. You love me. I cannot say why. Yes, you love me. Jesus, you love me too much. Oh. Too much, excess love.
Join the presiding moderator, Dr. Walter L. Glover Jr., and the Greater Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church at their new time, 9:15 a.m. until 10:15 a.m. every Sunday morning on The Glory, 980 a.m. WDDO. The moderator invites you to join them this coming Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Middle Georgia, WDDO 980 AM is proud to welcome NAACP President Gwinnett Middlebrooks and Vice President Willie Dumas for their weekly broadcast every Monday from 4 until 5 p.m. on The Glory, 980 AM WDDO. Leave your neck, back, and shoulder pains in the hands of Cranford Chiropractic, the personal friendly doctor with a friendly staff. Cranford Chiropractic is located at 3539 Vineville Avenue. That's 3539 Vineville Avenue in Macon. The team that works with you to help you through your pain. They lighten your load by assisting you with your insurance claims, working with your attorney, doctors to escort you through this process. Vertice from WDDO had a personal experience, and he says this is the place to go. Make that call at 478-471-0774. Make that call. 478-471-0774. Cranford Chiropractic. Cranford Chiropractic. Lining you up one patient at a time. Come join in with the Drive Time family every morning, Monday through Friday.
Wait, that's it.
Drive Time from 7:15 until with your godbrother, your godson, your godnephew, Vertice Zero-Zier. It's Drive Time. You don't ever have to be stranded with a flat tire. Bubba's Mobile Tire and Repair Service, LLC. 24-hour roadside assistance. They service cars, trucks, RVs, tractor trailers, and much more. For your roadside needs, call Bubba's Mobile Tire and Repair at 478-781-7433. And they're located at 3561 Broadway in Macon. And oh yeah, truck parking is coming real soon. So call Bubba right now at 478-781-7433. Bubba's Mobile and Tire Repair, LLC.
Here at the Dozier Law Firm, we've been fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of our work from home. We are greatly appreciative and thank every one of the essential workers that have been out there on the front lines every day. The Dozier Law Firm. Be smart and be careful.
I thought that number one would surely be me. I thought I could be what I wanted to be. I thought that I could build all life's sinking sand, but I realized I can't even walk, Lord have mercy, without you. Listen to me. I thought that I could do a line on my own.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, where to ask Elaine.
All right, welcome. Good afternoon to. Uh, okay. Come on now.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Okay. Are we ready? Okay. We are we ready? Are we ready? We are ready. Yes, yes, yes. As I was saying nervously a few minutes ago, good afternoon and welcome to this is Wednesday. You know, it's Wednesday because you see me on here. We're here every Wednesday for Ask Elaine. We have another special 90-minute edition of Ask Elaine. And see those engineers, they just love being in our on our show because they appeared a minute ago. We've got a few little technical things that they're working on here at the station, but we're so pleased that they're on and they give us an opportunity to have Ask Elaine on to give you your news and information till we are very, very patient. Want to let you know that we are sending our condolences to all of those families who are grieving the loss of their loved ones. And we also want to send happy vibes out to those who are having weddings and births and those kinds of things. Because not only do we want to help to comfort those families that have lost loved ones, but we also want to say congratulations to those who have happy things going on in their lives. Yes. Do we have a caller? Okay. Do we have a caller? Oh, all right. Well, as you can see, our very, 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 very special guest today is none other than one of my favorite lady elected officials. And right now, she's my most favorite one. And we have her in the studio with us. We are so fortunate to be able to call her and get on her schedule so that she can tell us the things that are going on in this community, because she's doing so many wonderful things on your behalf and on my behalf, on all of our behalves, until I just felt like you needed to have plenty of time to hear all those things. Our special guest is none other than our newly elected district attorney, Anita Reynolds Howard. Welcome once again.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Lucas. I'm so glad to be here with you all again.
Okay. Are we okay? All right. Okay. We want to acknowledge those of you who are listening on 980 AM, 107.9 FM. Also, those who are on Facebook Live, and we've already started to get comments from Denise Adams. Welcome to Ask Elaine, Reverend Randall. She says, hope your day has been blessed. And it has. It really has. And she also says, good afternoon. And so we welcome comments from our listeners. We welcome phone calls if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to make. The majority of our program today is going to be centered around what your DA's office, what have they done for you lately? And you're going to find out that they're just like the Energizer bunnies. They never ever stop. They've got things that you never thought the DA's office was about. But this new DA has reimagined this DA's office. And not only is she tough on crime and real criminals, but she's also sensitive to the needs in this community and is putting in place programs to address those needs, things that others were not far thinking enough to address while they were there. So we're just so happy to have you. And we have the House of Hope,
Yes.
Macon.
Yes, that's my church.
Yeah.
Hello, House of Hope Macon family. I'll be so glad when we can just get back to church. And I know they're doing some renovations, and I know the congregation, we're all going to be excited to see. And it was a good opportunity to take to do those renovations.
Yeah.
But I miss the coming together and fellowshipping. So I'm looking forward to that day.
Right, right. Y'all, please press share if you're on Facebook Live or any of these other media. Press share so that others will be reminded that the longer version of Ask Elaine is on now. But if you happen to miss any part of it, or you see the whole thing and you want to go back and replay the entire show, you can do that by just going on The Glory, or you can go on my page, Elaine Huckabee Lucas, and you can view the entire program all over again. We're going to talk about some things. Hello, Pastor Lisa. It's always good to have you there. And we know Dr. Butler is somewhere nearby if Pastor Lisa is here. And of course, she is just steadfast in her support and her attendance at the Ask Elaine party every Wednesday. Once again, we extend our condolences to the families. We want to extend condolences, especially to the family of the late Jimmy Mills, who was just an icon at Southwest High School in music. We lost him, and there are some other people we want to extend our sympathies to. The family of one of the city council members from Perry, Georgia. And the name escapes me. I'll think of it probably tonight about midnight. It'll come to me and I'll shake David and tell him that was the name. That was the name I was trying to think of. But anyway, age, and, all kinds of stuff. Want to also thank you on behalf of the senator and our entire family for all of your well wishes. Your prayers prayed him right on through, because the other day he was released by the doctor. He had serious brain surgery and came through it, but it was only because of you and your prayers and him doing what he needed to do. Pastor Lisa reminds us of that we have lost Herbert Wynn, who was a realtor, well, distinguished realtor in this community. His sister, Maria, and the other family members, we know them all so well, and we are just so sorry that we've lost Herbert. Please feel free to post names of families that we need to extend our condolences. We will certainly do that and appreciate your input on that. But we're going to talk with the district attorney now. We had hoped to have Kimberlyn Carter. Kimberlyn, spoke with her yesterday. She was either in Atlanta or she was in Washington, D.C., and she was going to come in and talk with us about some issues going on. Kimberlyn's probably in a meeting with the vice president or something somewhere,
I'm sure.
carrying on a lengthy conversation. Yeah. Oh, Kimberlyn says she's calling.
Okay.
She's calling. Okay, so whenever she is connected, then we'll have her to join the conversation. Madam DA,
Yes.
Congratulations on all of the things that you have been able to put in place, some things that are really innovative and things that people will ask, why in the world is the DA's office getting involved in that? But I want you to go back to the beginning and tell us about the office that you inherited, and then tell us your views as far as what your objectives are and will continue to be for that office. And then you can talk about what you've done.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Liz. Glad to be here again, sharing, with the community about the things that we are doing. So, as you all know, I was overwhelmingly elected by the people June 9th, and it was a highly contested election.
Yes.
And we were favorable, thankful for all the support that we received. My team, we reached out to the prior administration, requesting to have meetings just so that we can have a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not granted that opportunity. In fact, I had not even gone inside of the office to see where my office would be until a few days before I took office.
Oh, really?
So, it's so important to make sure that you listen to the voice and the will of the people. And I promise the people that is my priority and will always be that way. And when there's a transition, a transition of power, it's not, is not necessarily for me, but it's for the people, because
Right.
you want to make sure that the work continues. And I ran on a platform of uh, change, and we're not talking about small things. We're talking about criminal justice reform. We're talking about you know making sure that we decriminalize race, decriminalize poverty. There's no place for disparities based on race or poverty in our criminal justice system.
Right.
That's not fair. Making sure that we have equitable outcomes. And so we weren't able to do any of that. And so what we are seeing now is that the office is going through that transition that we would have had. In fact, I was talking with the mayor, and we were at a domestic violence awareness event where they asked me to speak last night, the crisis line and safe house. And he said, he knows that he is as successful as he has been in certain things because he did have a transition with Mayor Rickard. He was afforded that opportunity. The person that's standing behind the door has got to open the door for the new individual to come in.
Right.
And the door, I'm just going to be honest, it was shut. And so what we're seeing now is that some people retired, or they're retiring, they have retired. Some folks are resigning, others are some folks have been terminated, and that's just the nature. I've got to make sure that my administration is doing what we promised the people we were going to do, and I have to have people in there who are willing to execute the vision that I promised to the people.
Right.
And if they've not done that, I don't care if they've been there 100 years.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't make them a bad person.
Right. A lot of people
Right.
have made a big deal about, and the media just comes out when some people leave. People leave places all the time.
You're right.
You listeners out there, you've left jobs, you've left churches, you've left whatever, and that's your business.
Right.
And there are people in the district attorney's office who either chose to support the incoming administration or not, and it was best that they left.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it worked.
And I wish them well. I mean, I wish those folks well. And we were able to obtain a group of individuals from the Houston County DA's office because they, had some, tumultuous leadership there. But as soon as that leadership left, those folks, they rushed back.
They came up two on a mule when you took office. I saw some that had run for office years ago, and there were just gobs and gobs and gobs of them.
And I thank them for being there at the very beginning of my, of the administration to help us get to a point, because I didn't have the transition, to help us get to a point where we then can begin to build our own team. And that is what we are doing. And I'm going to tell you, it is exciting. And we, went back and looked at everything besides the folks that came, the attorneys that came from Houston County, and, to escape that leadership. And as soon as that leadership was gone, they immediately went back as a group.
Right on back.
And they came as a group and they went back as a group. And so outside of that, only one other assistant district attorney that I hired has resigned. That's it.
And
these other folks were folks. These other folks were folks that were already there. That they didn't know what my vision was. They didn't know if they were going to be able to get on board. I had not been given an opportunity to lay out the vision. And then some of them, like for instance, Judge Shay Young. She got promoted to the juvenile court judge.
Yeah.
We had a married couple in the office who had previously, before I got in there, applied for JAG Corps. And that process takes years sometimes. And so they were able to he was able to get accepted finally into that program after he'd been trying for a number of years. And him and his wife, they left and they moved to another state. So there's stories, but it's just I don't
But
go
it's
into those
you. It's
stories.
you. You're a black female
That's right.
who was elected overwhelmingly, 70% of the vote to that office, and people are picking at you.
And
Frankly,
it's the 29 that's doing the
that's
picking.
exactly right. And they ought to be looking to see what's good and
That's
what's
right.
new about those programs that they have concerns about.
But
And then try and
they're
help.
doing that as a distraction. But
Exactly.
a lot, if I would honestly comment to the media every day, they probably
No,
would.
you
They
can't
probably
do
would cover
that.
it. But I can't do the work of the people
Right.
if I'm always, going back over what we've done or trying to
Right.
defend what we've done.
Right.
This is not something they've asked of any other administration. The one thing I would say is that this office, the district attorney's office, has survived a lot.
Yeah.
Mainly just a history of lack of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I am involved probably more than any other district attorney has been involved. We have my office manager who's been there 44 years, and she's, she told me when she came in she was going to retire, and I think she's probably getting there, but bless her heart. But she actually said, I can honestly say you are more involved than any other DA, because this is when I know, Commissioner Lucas, when you tell the people that this is what your vision is going to be, and you change, and that's what the people vote for. You can't just change the head of the organization.
Right.
That's not going to do anything.
Right.
And so I do have to be involved to ask those questions. Say, you've got one person, you got two people charged with the same crime, and this is a conversation I had with one of the attorneys, that's no longer there. We got the same charge, but this is the sentence for this person, and the sentence is double for this. Your recommendation is double. Explain to me
disparity.
How is that? How is that outcome equitable? And so I am asking the tough questions that probably have not been asked before. Right. But I believe I've got to, in order to do what I told the people we were going to do.
Absolutely.
And right now, I say we are doing well. We're building our own team. We have only three available assistant district attorney positions. And just yesterday, I was sharing this with Commissioner Lucas before I got here. When I got here, but just on yesterday, we were able to obtain a guilty verdict on a 2014 case. So that case has languished. Mm-hmm. And we all know that cases do not get better with time. You have witness issues and things of that nature, but we, put forth our best effort, and we were able to obtain a guilty verdict on yesterday. We have a trial, and that was in Bibb. We have a trial going on in Peach today. And it started yesterday and it's continuing to today. And we were able to indict over 30 cases yesterday with the grand jury. That's just in one day.
Yeah.
We're working.
You really are working, because I tell you, that's a lot of cases, and people don't understand that there's more to it than just bringing somebody in and just saying, here's, and set the trial and all that. There's a lot of work that has to go into it. And the people doing the work have to be fair, first of all, unbiased. And then they have to develop the evidence to prove to you, first of all, that case needs to go forward, and that they're prepared. Because if they lose a case based on there being flimsy evidence or no evidence, or, then that reflects back on you.
Right.
And so it's just like in a school. If you're an employee in a school, you got to run things past your principal before you go out of that school with some initiative or whatever it is. So that's just the way it is. There are some people who have targeted this particular DA. I'm saying this, y'all. There's some people who have targeted her, first of all, because she's a Black female, and secondly, because she defeated one of their folks. And so what we've got to do is to search out and find the reasons for this criticism. It can't be that cases aren't going to trial. It can't be that there's not success in getting guilty verdicts. And for those of you who think that because she's black and female that she's going to cut you some slack, if you're guilty, you go into trial, and with the presumption that you're going to be found, they're going to prove that you did what they're accusing you of. So there's not slack on the law side, because the law is to treat
That's right.
everybody equally. But you can have the right information, you can have the wrong information, you can have enough, not enough, that kind of thing. So what I see in this DA's office now is an opportunity for folks to be treated fairly. Not anybody given any more leeway or any more help with their case than anybody else. She is the people's DA. And if you think, well, she certainly is on her, yes, I am. I am on her side because I've seen the things that she has done. She's been on this program several times, and every time she's had some new initiatives. And I'm glad that you had that conversation with the mayor, because he understands full well how people will go after you. You're trying to do what's best, and people will go after you. Of course, it's a little bit different. He is white and you're black, so he's not going to have what you have, not to that degree.
Well,
but,
let's just, when they've not seen, I knew the criticism would come, but we are doing the work. And when you are the first woman and the first African American, there is a presumption by some that you are just, inherently not qualified. Right. And that is what I know I am having, to listen to and to deal with. Even with the media never question another district attorney in the matter, based on these decisions. And court is open to the public. There's nothing that we are doing in secret. And if a case is not going to grand jury, it is because we do not have the necessary evidence. It's not what I know, it's what I can prove in a court of law. And I take pride in being a prosecutor. I take pride in being a career prosecutor. This is a profession that I have dedicated my life's work to. And I take the burden, because it is a burden. It's a burden of proof. The burden of proof, I take it seriously. And, I'm going to do my job in a fair way. And those are the type of assistant district attorneys that I want there with me. And sometimes that means you have to make very, very tough decisions, unpopular decisions. But, when they want me to start commenting in the media about this case or that case, it is improper for me to try my cases in the media.
Absolutely.
We try cases in the courtroom, and those courtrooms are open to the public. If I give in and start trying my case in the media, that could be a potential bar complaint for me. And that's just not.
That's just wrong.
It's just wrong.
Just wrong.
Right.
It's unfair. Oh, Pastor Lisa says that you've implemented some great initiatives. And she says that your work has to be fair and equitable with integrity. And we have Steve Bryant, who calls each week from Alexandria, Virginia. And we're just so glad. And y'all, please share, because it's obvious. It is so obvious that there is a need for information, because there are some people who have no sense at all, and they need some information, and that is what we're here for. Dr. Butler says good evening, and she's listening in. She's driving, so yeah, you just be cool. She says that she is very proud of our DA, and behind you 100%. And when you get some Black women behind you like
That's
these
right.
that are on here, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Black
And
women
what we've
lead.
done, is we've realized that this plot is happening from
That's
the
right.
very beginning.
That's right.
And so we're on top of it. And
Mhm.
so it's not going anywhere. When they, when that snake raises its ugly head, just like that little comment
That's right.
on there, when that snake raises that ugly head, we just cut it off.
That's right.
We just cut it off and keep on going.
And you
Keep
just
on
staying
going.
and just staying. I want to thank you and Pastor Lisa and Dr. Butler and the many other folks, Renee Bumpus and everybody
Renee.
that that just go to bat for me, because there is a lot that I do have to say, but sometimes I cannot say.
Mhm.
But what I know is y'all will say what really needs to be
the
said.
Sisters will say it. Yeah.
And we're working hard. And like I said, only one ADA has resigned, and her and I were friends prior to office, and we are still friends.
Mhm.
And I can honestly say that no one has, I know that I've treated everybody, whether they resigned or whether they were terminated, or whether they were demoted. I've treated everyone with dignity and respect. And the one ADA that did resign that I hired, she went back to the office that she came from. In Columbus, they had a change in leadership, and she was a little nervous about it and said, "Hey, I'm coming there." I said, "Okay." And then she decided to go back there, but she's done some other things with our office because the prosecutorial world is very small. And so oftentimes, they'll have victims here. And so she's done some meetings in our office. So, everything's very cordial, but we are definitely doing the work, excited about the work. So.
Okay. We want to welcome you to a special, longer version of Ask Elaine. And from time to time, we do see the need to have a little more information, a little more time to get our information out there. So we are going to be sponsoring some longer editions from time to time. Most weeks it will be an hour, but today we wanted to speak with our DA, and we wanted to have enough time because we always run out of time. Now, let's go to your programs.
Okay,
the special programs those that you've initiated and those that you're supporting, which were good programs.
Let's the one that let's talk about RISE. That is our youth initiative, restoring inspiration by success in education. And I'll say I'm excited. I know the community is excited about RISE. During this past month, we've had our meetings with our stakeholders in BIB, meetings with our stakeholders in Peach, and we're setting up the meeting with stakeholders in Crawford. And we are able to have our RISE program in BIB based on a grant that had gotten started prior to me taking office. And we completed that grant. And but the grant was not for Peach and Crawford. And I've been very intentional since day one that we are one office in 3 locations. And those children and their futures matter just as much as the children here in BIB. So we are going to be launching RISE at the same time in all 3 of my counties. And we will be able to use the forfeiture funds that my office has for the Peach and the Crawford, the youth, to make sure they get the services that they need. But we are not only excited about RISE. RISE is getting all kind of buzz throughout the state. I recently was asked to present about RISE at the State Juvenile Prosecutor Conference in November. And I want to invite you to that. I got to get you the date. Towards the middle of November, the district attorney from Athens is Deborah Gonzalez. She has been talking with me, and she is coming over with her team to include some of her county commissioners so that they can hear about RISE. they want to do a site visit with us. And then I am the chairperson for the Urban District Attorney Coalition for Georgia. And around the first week in November, they will be coming to Macon for their quarterly meeting. We're going to have it at the Tubman Museum. And I will do a presentation to them on RISE, because what we know is we cannot prosecute our way to safer communities. Right. That has been tried. Prosecution is something that we have to do and we're going to do, and we've been doing that successfully, but that's never been a mode of making our communities safer. Just because the process is, number one, the wheels of justice turn, but I always say they turn slowly. Mm-hmm. And with the pandemic, sometimes not at all. But even prior to that, you can't prosecute yourself to safer communities. And so prevention is definitely the key. And so what we've learned about children and our youth is that they are experiencing adverse childhood experiences. And the RISE program helps us to identify those adverse childhood experiences early so that we can offer the appropriate services to those youth so that we can reduce the detrimental effects of those experiences. And so I'm excited about the program and excited about this opportunity coming to the community.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Now, a number of us attended a breakfast a few months back.
Yes.
And you presented a number of other initiatives that you're working on. And there are booklets that, and I have some at EL High School, and I don't think I have that many, but you're welcome to drop by and pick up one if you like. Y'all, by the way, hit share on this to remind us folks who are missing the program that they need to tune in and get all of this good information. But anyway, I was just so impressed with all of those different programs. And the booklet is just such a very fine booklet, well done, well put together. And it's still available. There are still a few copies left. But tell us about some of those programs that were outlined in that booklet.
So one that I'm very proud of is our campaign against co-sleeping. And we did that via a bassinet drives in our community, as well as education on infant CPR. And you may say, why is the district attorney getting involved in that? I'll tell you two reasons. Well, there's multiple reasons, but I'll tell you the main two. Number one, the district attorney is required by law to serve as the chair for child fatality review committees for each county. And so if the legislators thought it was important enough, not only for the DAs to serve on the committee, but to actually chair the committee in each county, then it's not just so that we can gain information about that particular child's death. For me, that's not enough. It's to then talk about, again, how do we not have these deaths? Yeah. And what we saw is that a lot of children are dying from co-sleeping, and that is such a preventable, avoidable death. And it's so heart-wrenching and traumatic for family members that if you want to help help to not, so families don't experience that, then what can we do preventive wise? Secondly, one of the first cases that we had to review here in Bibb County after I took office was a case that occurred at a hotel. There was a lady who had fled a violent, domestic violence situation, and she could only afford to stay at one of the local hotels, but her and her children were in one bed, and she rolled over on one of the infants. And so that has there's so many aspects of that scenario that involve the DA's office, not only the reviewing of that child's death, but the fact that she was fleeing what we've worked so hard to bring awareness to in preventive measures is domestic violence. And so that's why we saw the need for the bassinet drive in the community. The AME churches have just, the community is excited about this initiative, but the AME churches, Miss Gwen Bird and the Women's Missionary Society, they have just really been a great support. I think they even have like, little, kind of like, friendly contests about which church can donate the most bassinet. So that's one of our initiatives. And so one of the other initiatives that we had there where we were talking about the Junior Justice League. And I know that's got to be exciting right now for those kids. Those were kids that also had experienced trauma as a result of crime, but it was our summer program. And but this year's theme was Keep Swinging, based on Hank Aaron. And we did a Zoom because of COVID. It was our Zoom orientation. Then we did a day at the courthouse where they were able to meet various stakeholders. They had lunch with Sheriff Davis on the stage of the Grand. But we culminated that Junior Justice League at the Braves game, the Atlanta Braves. And so we were able to take them. And so now with all the excitement, they can say, we know, hey, we are claiming that the Braves are going to take, home the World Series. And, they'll have an opportunity to say they were a part of history. They were there that year, maybe not at the World Series, but they were there that year that the Braves were able to, achieve that win. So
that's wonderful. Carol Spain has joined us, and she says, thank you, Macon needs your help. And so she's absolutely right. Carol has been an activist, especially in South Macon, for a number of years and is still working. But Carol's the kind that wants to see some action take place. Right. She doesn't want to just spin her wheels and advocate for stuff and then nothing ever gets done. So we're glad to have her here with us today. And Pastor Lisa is talking about impacting our youth. And that is just so important. If we're going to make the change we need to see, we've got to impact the youth. We've got to start them early.
We've got to start early. We have got to, it's going to take a generation to shift a generation. And we've got to get it done.
That's true. That's true. Now, those of you who we've got a caller.
Okay.
All right. Hello, caller.
Hello, the winningest Black woman in the state of Georgia.
Kimberlyn, who are you talking about?
I am talking about the one and only Elaine Huckabee Lucas. Because Anita's only won one time.
She don't want to say she's been in office so long.
Based on my political history notes of Black women in Georgia, you are the winningest Black woman in the state of Georgia.
Well, only because there have been some real hands on my shoulders, some people people holding me up, because this stuff is not easy. No. It's not easy at all, as you well know, and as our new DA well knows. You get that flack from all sides. You get all kinds of calls for your resignation. You get dummies coming on your show posting silly comments and stuff. You got to deal with all of that. but it's good to have you.
The truth, and here is the truth of the matter. All of us who are Black women in some form of leadership have experienced I call it not backlash, the white lash.
Yeah.
We have experienced the white lash. We have experienced the questioning of our resumes, of our abilities to lead, and so forth and so on. But this current climate, this current political climate that we are in, not only as a nation, but as a state, and even as a local community, is a very different space. I am currently in Georgia right now and traveling all over the state.
We were guessing Washington.
With Vice President Harris.
With Vice President Harris.
Kamala don't want to hear from me right now. Because they don't want to hear from me right now. because
Yeah, they do need to step it up, don't they?
well, let me be clear. Um, Black folk, we took to the streets last summer,
Uh-huh.
in spring about the murder of George Floyd, and to say that we were fed up with police sanctioned violence against Black and brown bodies. Then we marched in the streets for that. Then we marched to the polls,
Yes, we
November
did.
2020, to remove this the orange cancer that was in the White House. Then we went back January 2021 to say that we would not have Purdue and Loeffler representing our state in the U.S. Senate. And so we not only sent a Black man, but we sent a preacher uh,
Yeah.
to the U.S. Senate, as well as my good friend, a Jewish young man, to the U.S. Senate to say that we as Black folks were fed up and would not have any more representation that does not represent us. So after doing all of that, our expectation, oh, and let me add this too, and also in November of 2020, we as a community decided that we wanted a district attorney's office that not only represented us, looked like us, sounded like us, and would bring respect and dignity back to that office. And so that is what we did.
And now,
You're absolutely
So
right.
just
Yeah.
like the January 6th insurrectionists, all of this white lash and backlash is because some folk can't handle the changing face of justice,
right,
Madam District Attorney, the changing face of this state,
Yes.
albeit the changing faces of this nation. So we can't stop and we won't stop
no, we can't stop.
until
Won't
justice
stop.
rains down. We can't stop and we won't stop. My daddy told me if they wasn't mad, you wasn't doing it right.
Yeah, that's true. That's
That's
true.
true.
That's true. When they get real quiet and smiling and stuff, oh, it's a trick coming.
Or you really
It's
ain't
a
doing
trick.
anything. And I
Yeah.
think that's what some people thought. I think, folks thought that I would be DA in name and other
Mm-hmm.
folks would be DA in action.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's not what I told the people that I was going to do. And I've got to do what I told the people I was going to do. And we are getting the work done. And, Kimberly's absolutely correct. There's this notion that we aren't qualified, this
Right.
notion that we don't know what we're doing, this notion that whatever we're doing it wrong. They continue to ask about vacancies. They have their vacancy numbers wrong. And, if I stopped every time
You
the
don't have
media, I
time.
don't have
You
time
don't
because
have
then I
time.
won't be doing the work of
You
the
don't
people.
have time for that. And you're right.
Well,
That
and Madam District
is a
Attorney,
burden.
the other issue with that is we over here calling balls and strikes on government accountability. And no offense to you, Madam Commissioner, but I know very little about what's going on over there in that Mill administration. I don't know who's working over there. I don't know what they do. Our current Congress meets more than our county commission.
Well, now you're right about that. We don't
So,
see a lot.
so if we want to start spotlights and investigative journalism, I have a list. We have not heard enough from the Macon Water Authority about how they're going to be increasing our water bills to fix stuff that they should have had in their budget to repair years ago, as far back as when Frank Amerson was alive. So if we're going to be doing investigative journalism, I have a list for them. Let me just go on down to the Wells Fargo building, to a school board, who I am not even confident or sure of how funds have been expended that came from this new government that we elected federally to support education in our community and families and children.
Right. We don't
Now,
know.
all across the state, I've been hearing some great numbers. Cobb County, DeKalb County, even down in Glenn County, where our dear brother Ahmaud Arbery was murdered. I'm hearing all kinds of great numbers about, even through this pandemic, how the children have been performing and how we have seen some light in their performance. I have not heard anything about the children in Bibb County. So if our local media is so engaged in investigative journalism of governmental offices and all this kind of good stuff, I have a list for them. Now,
Well,
y'all know how I feel about these folks. I
yeah,
have no, I mean, Anita, I've been meaning to reach out to you and text you, but I have been, it's so, I just want you to know you are not alone. Your
right.
dear sister who flipped the seat in Gwinnett County, first Black woman DA. She's had to call some balls and strikes and put things in order. We flipped a school board up in Gwinnett County with young Black folks who are dealing with all types of political violence that we're trying to support and keep them encouraged. In Carroll County, the sister who was over at the election board was just fired because she, on her own personal time, is supporting the first Black woman who's running for a city council seat in Bowden, Georgia, in Carroll County.
Mm.
So please do not feel alone, my dear. You have other folks around you who are experiencing the same political, racial, and gender violence, because that is exactly what it is.
Right. And it's a national plot.
That's right.
It flows from the national level, because people need not think that my case here about a Facebook post was an isolated incident. That kind of thing is happening to people who speak against the wrong that's going on. That kind of thing happens all over. And you have folks from Florida, from all over, who are joining in on the attacks on people. And they have a master list of who needs to be attacked, who's speaking out too much, who's against this candidate, who's a hard worker that people might listen to.
Right.
And they have an organized effort to attack that person. And we sit and we think that there may be something to it because it's in the news. So what if it's in the news?
That's right.
The news can be, and a lot of the time is wrong. And it's biased.
Well, and it's just like, they were asking us about vacancies, and my media team said, share with us the information you have. So they sent this list over with folks who weren't even on the list, that have been with my administration since January the 4th. And my folks are either paid through the county or the state government, my assistant district attorneys. So they go to these various locations to get the information from their HR departments, but that's got to be correct. And I don't run Macon Bibb HR. I don't run the prosecuting attorney's council HR. And so I'm telling them, all I can tell you is these are the folks that are in my office, right. And I know that they are getting paid, because if they weren't getting paid, they would let me know. Y'all got to go back to them and figure out why things aren't lining up the way they need to line up.
Right. Well, they're being told what to ask.
Right.
By certain folks. So same people that I've been telling you about who are just sitting around, I think it's their job to work against and to try and intimidate officials or, just activists who don't agree with them. If you are opposed to Trump, you're on the list.
And we know that with him being in office, it emboldened. It's not that this hatred or this discrimination did not exist, but it emboldened those
Right.
folks, and that is what we are all experiencing. And Kimberlyn, thank you so much for your continued support, but she's exactly right. I follow Kim Fox, who is the state prosecutor, the district attorney. I think they call them state prosecutors there in Chicago.
In Chicago, yes.
And the hatred that she has experienced, and the questioning of her leadership, and it's so bad, it's bad. And so I'm not the only one going through it, but when they begin to ask someone that the community has said, we do not want this person in office, and then they go back and ask that individual, well, what do you think? How do you feel? Or they go to other departments about what's going on in my department, and don't think they try to play us against each other.
Right.
They come to me and ask me about folks leaving. I don't comment. I don't run that department. You need to go talk with them. But people don't give me that same courtesy, number one. And then number two, to ask someone, that'd be like asking President Biden. I mean, that'd be like asking 45, why is President Biden doing what? We don't really care what 45 has to say.
Exactly.
We didn't want him in office, and
all.
he's not there. So why
Not
would you
at
go
all.
ask him what President Biden is doing?
Right.
He doesn't have the current intel.
Yeah, it was highly unorthodox to ask the loser about the winner's business. Okay, so to be very real.
Yeah.
It's highly unorthodox to ask the loser about the winner's business.
That's right.
Ain't nobody going over to the Houston Astros to ask them, how did the Atlanta Braves beat y'all?
Yeah,
that's right.
Right.
So that within itself was highly unorthodox. But let me tell you this, as a small business owner, and you being one too, Madam Commissioner, I knew I was ready for a DA to be gone who thought that the district attorney's job was to regulate, harass, and attack small business owners.
Yeah.
Specifically small business owners of color.
Right.
So I was already ready for a change because, it's just like that quote we hear about where they came for the unionists, but I wasn't a unionist. They came for the Germans, but I wasn't a German, and all this. But when they came,
for me.
When they came for me, it was nobody to speak for.
Yeah.
I was not about to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Because I knew if he was already over there messing with brown people, it wasn't too much longer he was going to be rolling over here messing with us.
That's right. So
I was very ready, and I supported his candidacy in the past. Even ran, his first winning election. But I center Black folks and people of color in all the work that I do abolition work. So when I saw that mess going down, I was like, oh, no, sir, right? And so that is how we have to be. All of us have got to start realizing, like you just said, Madam Commissioner, we have elections every 4 years. We hire and fire these people.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
And I think that you have shown enough accountability, Anita, and I'm sorry, Madam District Attorney, you've shown enough accountability to the community thus far in publications and doing Facebook Lives and all these types of things to try to keep the community engaged and informed. And our community should be watchful and mindful and appreciative of that.
But they're out there talking about, why is everybody leaving her office? They all leaving her office. And I said, well, what new office holder have you been around that kept all of the same people or had the same people who were not going to work with them? Would you keep those folks? If there's somebody that sees another opportunity and they leave, you can't hold them in place. We've got to think.
And the
We
other
gotta
thing is,
think.
I would think that we would be nervous if nobody left. Because if nobody left,
It's
that
the
means
same
that
setup
means
as
I wasn't
before.
changing anything, and I was
Yeah.
just, clearly, if I went in there and just went behind that desk and started twiddling my thumbs and went, well, I'm still gonna sit here. I'm the DA. Why would they leave? But when you challenge people,
And make them work.
to and make them, first of all, make them come back to the office, because a lot of them weren't working, making them submit their leave, and so they're not leaving with these astronomical, just little simple things.
My.
So no, they don't.
Now we're getting all of the story.
So y'all give me
Well,
You see, that's always whenever, and I want to say to our listeners.
But let me say this, Madam District Attorney. When the voters on November 20th voted for a change in the face of justice, we weren't just talking about your face.
Right.
So I know I wasn't just talking about your face. So, so when the department, whatever, I'm fine with, because once again, we are talking about an office that did not represent or present the dignity and the work that this community was not meeting the expectations of the community. So when the faces started changing, it wasn't going to bother me if it was, a clean sweep and a reset.
Right.
And I didn't want to I didn't want to come in there and clean house. And number one, it wouldn't have been advisable, because again, we were not, even though we requested it, we were not afforded the opportunity to have a transition. And so I do feel like that would have been unfair. And so, but what we're seeing is, by the intentional delivery and outline of my vision, and making sure that this will be executed my vision will be executed. That's what's non-negotiable with me. My vision must be executed. If you're not going to do that, I am going to bring you in my office, and we're going to have some tough conversations. And I will tell you all, within a couple of weeks, sometimes within a week after those conversations, I get the resignation. And it's, and I get it.
Which is all to the good. Now, let's go to one other thing, Kim, and Madam DA. I hear a lot of folks say, I don't want to put my name on such and such because I get called for jury duty. I just want to let folks know there's nothing that can keep you from being called for jury duty. And then you're a Black person sitting up there. Your son ends up, hopefully not, but somebody that you love and care about ends up on trial. Wouldn't you want to have a jury of that person's peers? Would you want to have a jury made up of all one kind of person, or would you want a jury made up of a variety of people, just like the population is? So when people sit up and talk about, I don't want to go on jury duty, I don't want to be called for jury duty, think about the disservice that you are doing to yourself and to all of these other families. I certainly would feel like my justice would be maybe a little more even if I had a few Black folks on my, not that they're going to automatically vote to acquit me, but it just seems fairer to me. And you're supposed to have a jury of your peers that is made up of all different folks that make up your community. So when especially Black folks who are underserved, underrepresented, when they say stuff like, I don't want to serve on a jury, I just say to myself, rather than after I get over that, brief flush of anger, I calm down and I just think to myself, I sure hope you're never on trial, because you're going to wish that you had done your duty, and you're going to wish that all these other folks, your peers, had done their duty. So y'all stop talking about, I'm not going to do jury duty, I'm not going to register to vote because You have to, they pick you for jury duty from that. There is no way of avoiding having your name in the box, in the pot, in the bucket for jury duty. So just face it, you're being
Well,
a good
I
citizen if you serve on juries.
yeah. Well, I'm actually glad that you brought that up because almost a decade ago, and sort of when I came back in all of this, one of the things that I began to have some concerns with was how the office of the clerk of Superior Court was being run and handled. Because number one, I had talked to too many elderly folks, people in the community who had gone down to that clerk of Superior Court office a decade ago and had problems and poor customer service experiences. And so we began to politics. We began to look at and think about a Black woman that we could recruit to become the new clerk of Superior Court, specifically in a county and in a city that is majority Black and brown folks. And so I am so glad that Erica Woodford and Stephanie Woods Miller are the clerk and deputy clerk of our Superior Court. We have one of the best run clerks of Superior Court and jury selection processes in this state.
Absolutely.
Because those two Black women, they love this community. They have integrity. They are super duper well educated and professionally developed. They invest in our people. And so we should be going down and be on jury duty just to look at them and be.
That's right. That's right.
Knowing that Black women run this office. Black women.
And now, Kim, let's go to civil magistrate court too. As a Black woman,
come on now. That's what we. So let's talk about it.
Kim White and then we got the DA's office. You need to go to the county courthouse sometime.
Brenda Yumas over there.
Brenda Yumas, yeah.
We got to get together and take
your stuff. They're not gonna let Grandma be evicted and all her punch bowls and trying to be put out on the front lawn.
Yeah. We got to work on these evictions too. I'm hearing a lot about that. We got
to have these amazing Black women in position, delivering and working. Dr. King told us that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. And look at all these Black women that we have who are bending the arc, right?
Ricky Crawford says hello to everybody.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because that, once again, just reiterate all this greatness. And then next week, another project I'm working on with GABWA, the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, they will have our other homegirl, Chief Justice Verda Colvin, on to have a conversation.
Right.
So we have so much here that we have to be proud of, that we have to support. Erica is on the ballot every 4 years. Anita's on the ballot every 4 years. Verda's going to be on the ballot.
Supreme Court.
Pam White Colbert will be on the ballot in 2022. So we have to remember and support and continue to encourage our sisters.
We surely do. We surely do. Kimberlyn, where'd you say you were calling from?
Well, I am Carroll County, where we've had a situation up here, like I said, with a Black woman who was in the election department losing her job because on her spare time she is supporting the first Black woman running for city council. So
But we know that you're always
I
busy,
know.
always somewhere.
Well, honey, because the devil always busy. That's why I have to stay
Right.
busy. You folks,
Devil is busy. Grandma knew what she
it's
was talking
always
about.
busy.
Devil's always
But
busy.
I hope that our people are going to vote. I know that there is only one thing on the ballot.
Right.
I plan on, I only voted the Elaine Huckabee Lucas Center now. So
That's where I
that ain't no
voted
good.
too the
I'll
other
be
day.
voting by mail. I only, let me tell you something. My COVID vaccine is by a Black woman. I got Moderna. That's Dr. Kizneckia Corbett. And now, I go to vote where it's named after a Black woman. So this is an exciting, amazing time for.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Only about 2,000 folks have voted out of 100 and I think it's 105,000 that are registered. Only a couple of
I hope they
thousand.
voted
I
no
don't
like
care if there's just one issue on that ballot like this time. Everybody ought to go vote. Call somebody,
I
find
agree.
out what it's about. Go vote. That is pitiful. And we need to be
And even though people
practicing for
disagree with
next
me,
year.
I am not voting for that OLOS. I'm putting a big old fat no on the OLOS because the OLOS that I had planned to support was the OLOS that was written and presented by my state senator, the David E. Lucas, and other factions.
Uh-huh.
The other side, who always talking about they ain't gonna raise no taxes, they don't believe in taxes. But what do you think the OLOS is? It's a tax.
It is.
And so because some wealthy landowners and the Chamber of Commerce and the same people that tricked y'all into this consolidation are the people
Trick two.
supporting and sending mailers for this OLOS. They ain't gonna put no banana in my tailpipe, Madam District Attorney. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me is what my granddaddy said.
My grandma said the same thing.
Uh-huh.
My grandma said the same thing.
Okay. I'm just going to say, everybody needs to go vote.
That's right.
I voted yes. Kimberlyn is going to vote no. Everybody has a right to vote the way they feel on an issue. Study, you need to know what it's about, what it does and doesn't do. And you need to vote no if you feel that way. You don't want any more taxes. You vote yes if you feel like the property tax relief is worthy of the vote. So I'm just saying, vote. Lisa Watson says vote, 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 vote. Whichever way it goes, I personally feel like the OLOST is going to pass. I really do. But what helps stuff to pass like this is, especially when there's low voter turnout like we have.
Right.
Suppose this were an issue about putting us back on the ships, like we were brought on the ships, but and you hadn't voted. Suppose this were an initiative on something else that you care about and you hadn't voted. Only 2,000 folks had voted.
And voting is just so important. It's important to create a habit of voting.
Exactly.
So whether you think that this is, significant or not, if you do something over and over, it becomes a habit.
That's right.
So we need to just have a habit. If you vote,
so
it doesn't matter if you're voting on
less
one.
important than the other.
Right. But it's always important to have your voice heard. If you're voting on in the presidential race or a local mayoral election, if you're voting on the spot, just go vote.
Form that habit.
Right. The polls are open. Go vote.
2 voting places, 2 early voting places. And I'm encouraging everybody to go vote in person if you can. Go vote in person.
Vote for the one named after. Go over there and vote for the one named after a sister. Madam District Attorney, I was going to call you with this question, but since we are from family, I'm just going to ask you right now.
Yes.
During the Cook administration, we were always, there were always these articles about all these programs that they had going on over there, and I was just wondering, like, where are they and what were they?
The one that I'm most
I mean,
familiar.
was it anything over there for you to continue? I guess is the question.
Well, the one that I'm most familiar with, and I think that he talked about the most, and I think he kind of ran his campaign centered around, was the school justice partnership.
Yeah.
And when I began to ask questions of those individuals about what they have been doing, I was kind of told this is what the stats that we had from 2019, but 2020, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do some of the things we wanted to do. And two concerns I have with that. The first is I don't believe that program met the statutory guidelines, because it shouldn't matter if the child was in school or not, or what the offense was. You should do it for the best interest of the child. So I don't believe that the program was expansive enough and really truly met the need of what was, or the standard, what was in the best interest of the child. Secondly, I had a concern because I tell my staff all the time that change is inevitable, and you've got to be able to adjust to change, and to have a program that basically stops working because we have a pandemic and this is a program for our youth, that was just not acceptable for me. So that is the only. That is the only. I mean, you've got to be innovative as a leader. I
Let
mean,
me ask you now. Just one other question. It was something about $100,000 that they were spending investing in a girls program, and he had been all down to Florida and all that kind of stuff. Where is that?
I think you're probably talking about the PACE Council. We still do have a partnership with the PACE Council, and they're coming on as one of our partners with the RISE, with the RISE initiative that we're implementing for our youth. And so we do have a partnership with them, but we also, that is it seems to be a great organization. We've been able to put some children in that program, but let me say this. There are folks here in Middle Georgia who are also doing great work. And so that is not.
That's what I thought.
That is not our only partner. You have like Lois's Kids, who's doing wonders with our young girls. You have I Am King, Fathers Among Men, who's doing great with our boys. So my administration, we have been intentional about finding partners, or not finding, because you don't have to find them, they're there, identifying, and partners who are here in the Middle Georgia area, who are invested in this community, who live, work, spend their dollars in this community, to partner with them. I know there have been some who said they even tried to partner with the district attorney's office in the past, with their prior administration, and they were not afforded the opportunity, and they are just so blessed. So with the RISE initiative, PACE is one of the partners, but we also have about 11 other partners, and we are adding partners. Every week, my team, we're adding partners. So it's not exclusive any longer. Based on, we won't say what that's based on. I was probably getting ready to say I shouldn't say, but there's no. I'm more inclusive, especially of those folks who are in our community who have been overlooked and unrecognized. That is changing the face of justice. I'm not going to do to them what's being done to me. Where I think because this organization is ran by someone who happens to be a woman or happens to be a person of color, they are not qualified. No, that's not. That is not how I run my office.
Well, you see all of these.
Maybe I need to become a newspaper person over there at Making Telegraph, because I have so many questions that they can't seem to figure out how to ask.
Well, the newspaper really doesn't exist anymore. I mean, in fact, in name it might, but people look at the newspaper and they see 4 or 8 pages or something, and the news is from Columbus, and they're saying if it weren't for Liz Fabian, and 1 or 2 others, Jenna Eason, and maybe 1 or 2 other folks, there wouldn't be one. There wouldn't be any local coverage, and many of the young people who are hired at the local TV stations, they come in new.
That's
They
right.
don't know anybody.
Mhm.
There's nobody to mentor them, nobody to show them around. They're just, and so whenever the news is fed to them, whoever gets
But
to
what
them,
they've got to understand is, you know, we can all, Commissioner Lucas, use that as an excuse.
mhm,
These reporters have got to dig
they've got
for the
to,
truth. If
yeah.
they don't have a hunger for the truth,
Exactly.
they've got to have a hunger for the
Right.
truth.
But when
And there's
you're
no
new to
amount, there's
town,
no amount of money though that should stop them from digging for the truth. Is there. They've just got to dig for it. They want you to spoon feed them, and whatever they are spoon fed, a lot of times is what they report. That
that's
would not
what
be
I'm
good.
saying.
That
That's
would
my
not be
point.
good enough for me.
Well, you bring somebody brand new in here and young, they don't know their way around, and you give them all of these stories to do, and then each station has folks who have been here for a long, long time.
That's right.
Who have their own biases, who send you
Yes.
only to certain people to talk to, like a former defeated DA, whatever. You know, that's why we don't have the coverage, the unbiased coverage that
And
we
then the
need.
comment just shows how out of touch he is with the community, and why the community voted the way that they did, to say that, whatever he said, they're gonna be celebrating. If this person, and this is taking no credit from her, good prosecutor, but if this was being done for 25+ years and we still have
on,
the same problem, you cannot prosecute your way to a better community. And he still thinks you can prosecute your way to a safer community, and you cannot do that. So he's out of touch with reality, because this lady did these kind of cases for 25 years, and we still have gang violence. If you don't start young with our babies, and give them an alternative, and teach them and show them an alternative, you're going to be dealing with the same thing 25 years from now. And all he was giving the people was more of the same.
Yeah.
And that's why they said that is not what we want.
That's exactly right. And what no black
because mass incarceration.
there were a bunch of whites who voted for you as well, because they wanted something new,
something
because
different.
They didn't see
and so he's
anything.
still trying to offer the people more of the same.
Well, but there's a feeble attempt to try and keep him relevant, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work, because we, just as a number of the folks who are listening in have said, that is why this program is important, because
right.
we tell it like it is. We are going to continue to, at your, when it's convenient for you, to have you on the program.
Absolutely.
Because our listeners want to know what's going on in the community.
That's right.
They find out. They find out on this program.
And I come on here because, number one, I know you're going to be fair, right? And you are going to ask the tough questions. I don't mind answering tough questions, but I do not like when I give a statement and they want to take 10 words of what I said and they take it out of context. So I know on this program, the community is going to get the truth.
Right.
And these reporters should have a hunger for truth. If you don't have a hunger for truth or justice, I'm probably not going to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
I'm appreciative for Ask Elaine as well, because we have to have independent media now. After what we've gone through with the past 5 years, people can say whatever they want to say about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But these tools, if it had not been for social media and the hashtag Black Lives Matter, I don't think a whole bunch of folks would have been awakened to real situations here in this country. And just real quick, Madam District Attorney, when the loser of the race last year made that statement, let me tell you, progressives across this state, criminal justice reform advocates across this state saw that sentence and immediately wanted to see a review of all of that lady's cases. Okay.
Right.
Because when you say that, when you say, oh, they're all having fun now, or so what were you really doing
Right.
Mm,
with
Right.
mhm,
the people's civil rights
mhm.
and human rights for them to fear you just doing your job,
And we
right?
do have gangs here, but
Because
then the question
because
becomes is
because the
what's your definition
prosecutor,
of a gang?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah,
what's your
and
definition? Is
what's
it
your
when
definition of
when
that?
three or more black men are
That's
gathered
Mhm.
together?
With red.
okay.
I'll
Okay.
move on.
And to piggyback on what you were saying, Commissioner Lucas, about our people having to pay attention more to these dog whistles and understand when we see these dog whistles. When our local media decided to place a white woman's picture on the front page and on all their social media as if Miss Ann is being attacked by the bad black woman,
Mhm.
that was a dog whistle
Mhm.
to a
Mhm.
certain mindset and a certain group of individuals who are hell bent on obstructing any type of progress, not only in our local communities, in the state, albeit our nation writ large.
Right. Right. Right.
We got to understand when we see and hear those dog whistles, and we better call them out as they are.
We surely better. We surely
So
better.
I
Uh,
hated that. I was so glad that you invited me to
yeah.
come on to have this real sister session.
Yeah.
I've got to jump off, jump on to another Zoom. I love both of
Okay.
you, Black Women Lead and Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Can't stop,
Can't
won't stop.
stop,
Thank you,
won't
love you
stop.
too, and thank you
Thank
for your
you,
support,
Kimberly.
Kimberlyn.
Thank you so
All
very much.
right.
Now we have a couple of minutes more. We want to thank all of our listeners who've tuned in, those who are on 980 AM, those who are on 107.9 FM, those who are on Facebook Live. If you've missed any of the program, we started out sending our condolences to the families of those who have lost loved ones and also sending our well wishes and congratulations to those folks who have marriages in their families, who have new babies, whatever the good things that are going on in your family, because we can't always share the sad and then leave the good stuff, the happy stuff out. But please remember one thing: those of you who have lost loved ones, they'll always be with you if you do something in their honor. They will always be with you if you do something in their honor, like your dad a year ago.
Yes.
We lost him. And as long as you do something in his honor, forever and ever,
That's
he'll
right.
always be with you. My mom, we do things in her honor, and it's about time for us to get our volunteers together to do the gift bags for the nursing home. So that's a hint to all those who usually give to the gift bags. We'll be doing those with Al, my baby boy who passed away 15 years ago. He was 26 then. We do the scholarships, and as long as you do something to remember your loved ones, they will never ever leave you. So you take it from me. It will lighten your spirit every time you recognize them by doing whatever it is that you do. But it needs to be a good project, something that's going to benefit the community. So that's something that we wanted to leave with you today. It has been our honor, our privilege to have had as our special guest during this special longer version of Ask Elaine the Honorable Anita Reynolds Howard, the district attorney, elected with over 70% of the vote to serve as our district attorney. She's doing her job and she's challenging you to do yours. Show up if you're called for jury duty. Ask questions about things. Get the information from her office and take part in these different programs. You have a lot that you can share with this community. Don't just hide your talents. Be sure that you use your talents. So, for all of you who've tuned in, we just thank you so much. All of our folks, please share this again, just as a reminder. And I saw something about, Dr. Butler reminds everybody to sponsor a student in honor of your loved one at EL High School Academy. And a number of churches have done just that. So there's always something you can do. Make it a good day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ask Elaine. And we want to thank our DA. We want to thank Kimberly Carter, Miss not know it all, but Miss Knowledge.
That's right. Yeah.
Miss Knowledge. And we just thank them for sharing their information and their time with us. The senator is still doing very, very well. And thank you all again for your cards.
Please tell him.
And
Todd and I are definitely thinking of him.
He's trying to move too fast. So when y'all see him, tell him, take it easy, Senator, because there's a special legislative session starting next week to redraw these lines for people running for office. So we've got to keep watch on that. We're going to have some special information next week for you on that, as well as some other special guests. Thank you so very much for tuning in. So on behalf of all the folks here and our esteemed DA and Kimberly Carter, wherever she is, we want to thank you and invite you to tune in again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine.
Thank you.
Connecting 7.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM,